Inspired to share experience I had a couple days ago. I often feel at war with my impulses. Like there's two dueling parts of me, the one that wants it and the one that hesitates. And it sometimes feels like a parent-child dynamic of like the impulsive child wanting something and the parent deciding whether or not that's a good idea. And so it just creates all this like I want it, but I don't know if I should. But it's exhausting. And sometimes I'm like, let's just drop the parent and let the child have free reign. And other times, it feels as if I give the child the keys. I may not really enjoy the aftermath of those choices.
Okay.
So the experience that I had a couple days ago was I was in a gas station, convenience store, and I went in to see if I want to get something to eat. Not the most healthy choices in a gas station, probably. So I was thinking maybe I'd get some candy, something to snack on. And I could feel that tension starting. I could feel that I want something, but I don't want it. But it tastes so good, but then I might not feel that great in my body afterward. It might not be good for me. It might not be good for the environment, for the planet, all that. And so I said to myself, you can have whatever you want. I told the child, you can have whatever you want. Anything in this store, it's yours. And I walked up and down the aisles, and I looked at some of the things that I might normally impulsively grab, and I didn't get anything. I was like, yeah, actually, maybe I don't really need anything. And I walked out of the store and I drove away, and I felt good. And I've been feeling good since, because I keep telling myself that you can have whatever you want. And it feels so liberating. And there's this softening that happens inside, and there's kind of two conclusions that have arisen for me of what that softening might be about. And one is that the rebel in me settles down because there's nothing to rebel against. You can have whatever you want. There's no more disempowerment. There's no more I'm being controlled, and I need to fight against that control in order to be free. And it makes me think about that parent-child dynamic of allowing the child to make their own choices, learn their own lessons. And maybe in that space, potentially conditioned ways of being can unravel themselves in the presence of feeling free. And that may or may not change the behavior, but it changes the way I interact with myself. And that feels like where the most pollution is created. Because it feels less important what I'm putting in my body and more important how I'm relating with myself in the experience of putting something in my body. So the next time I stopped, I went into a gas station and I did the same thing. You can have anything you want. And I got a bag of Reese's Pieces. And I enjoyed them. And I didn't feel, and I felt fine. I felt fine in my body. It was fun. And my little boy at this time was like, yeah, no, I want these. That feels fun. That feels good. And I didn't eat the whole bag. Lots of times I'll eat the whole bag. And I didn't. I stopped at some point. I went, I think I'm good. That part of me was able to, from a more relaxed space, just attune to, is this something I really want and need? And maybe to start considering the future consequences of, how will I feel if I eat this entire bag? How will I feel if I don't? How will I feel if I'm no longer, kind of the sense of no longer a slave to this impulse? And another thing that came up for me around this, besides it being about freedom and nothing to rebel against, is that it took scarcity out of the equation. Because if there's a part of me that's saying only sometimes, and I never know if that parent in me is going to say yes or no, there's this feeling of scarcity of like, well, I got to do this whenever I can. If he says yes, I'm going to pig out. It's Halloween. But if I know I always have choice, and there's not something in me making decisions for me, sounds kind of funny to say it that way, but that's sort of the sense of it, then I feel like, oh, this is always available. And there feels like a loosening of that grip of impulsivity of I gotta have it now. I was thinking of Veruca Salt from Willy Wonka. Don't care how, I want it now. That's how that inner child feels sometimes. I want the world. I want the whole world. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know how long this relaxed feeling around my impulses will last. It's not completely relaxed. There's still some tension, but I just notice myself interacting with food a little differently, interacting with life a little differently, interacting with my phone a little differently. The things that I feel like there's a potentially addictive quality to my relationships with. When I say, you can have whatever you want. And a couple other sentences that feel kind of along these same lines are, you can do whatever you want to do. And you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. That one I've been playing with for a while, and it feels really empowering to not have to do anything I don't want to do. And again, it has kind of that opposite effect of, well, but now I kind of want to do it. Now I can feel into some reasons why I want to do it because I'm not rebelling against feeling like I have to do it. Like, I don't want to clean up. I don't want to do the dishes. It's like, you don't have to do them. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. Really? And then, paradoxically, perhaps, it's like, well, maybe I do want to do some dishes. Maybe it feels good to contribute in that way. Maybe I actually enjoy it. I enjoy the feeling of warm water. I enjoy the process of watching something get clean. Like, I can tap into my yes when I get to have my no. And I can tap into my no when I get to have my yes.